Cold War. So note to self, some of these are not in order per se, but the weapons I have in my loadouts are most likely the best in the yeah, the weapons and the loads I have are the best in the game. I just didn't do these in order at the time of me making these. But alright, so we got the Gallo, pretty much the bread and butter shotgun that most people, if not everybody, likes. Of course, I have my other personal favorite shotgun. And for the attachments, we have infantry V choke. We have the 24.8 task force, the Swap 5 MW laser sight, the Stang 12 R&D tube, and the marathon stock for the shotgun. With this, you can go places. I heard that, honestly, though, this is hands down the best weapon to have. Go to high rounds. This is all, yeah, most of the guns in this game, though, too, are also wall weapons. So, even if you don't get this from the box, the good thing is with Cold War, you actually can take this in with you and just level it up to the max. Tier 4 and max pack plus the shotgun is hands down one of the best high rounds and even great boss fight material wise, I think. Although I don't think, yeah, I don't think it does well against the Order though for Fire Base Z. I think it does at least pretty decent against the yeah, yeah, you know what? Now that I think about it, yeah, it does pretty great against Valentina though, to say the least. Outside of the servers, and then of course Forsaken is Wonder Weapon reliant besides Death Machine. Although doing this on Outbreak is a high risk, high reward against the Order on that because it moves around. And it does pretty decent against Legion too, but it might have some setup changes you might need to make. The EMP-63, best pistols hands down. Best machine pistols if I'm not mistaken. For attachments, we have the infantry compensator. Barrel, the 6.4 task force. Body, the laser sight, which is the Swap 5 MW. Magazine, the Salvo 22 R&D fast mags. And for stock, dual wheels. This is actually probably one of the best weapons to actually bring in the Legion boss fight on Outbreak when you do the first part of the Easter egg, because apparently, depending on how strong your weapon is, whether you bring in something like, I don't know, the M16 or the MG, or even the one of the weapons, I believe I believe the fight becomes harder with the ads that comes in because you might not have to worry about going against a Megaton or a Panzer or some sort, or you might not have to worry about them as much. But if you bring something that's a little bit more damage dealing, that's a different story. But the MP63 is pretty good. It's even great against the boss fight against Legion. Definitely can hold this all. This is my favorite shotgun, the Howler, and the attachments are technically the same as the Gallo. So really no difference, other than this is a tighter spray shotgun. It shoots slightly slower than the Howler, but no, not the Howler, but the Gallo. It shoots slightly slower than the Gallo, but it does tremendous amount of damage and it has a much more concentrated fire. Now the MG82. Now its contender is actually the Stoner, but I heard that this right here is actually pretty great too. So we have the Cobra Red Dots. We have the SOCOM Eliminator for the muzzle. We got the 16.4 Task Force. We got the Ember Sighting Point for the laser sight. Underbarrel is the Field Agent Grip. Magazine is the Salvo 150 R&D Fast Mag. Handle is the Airborne Elastic Wrap. And for stock, it's the SAS Combat Stock. Now, I believe the starter does have a similar type, and it might be better than the MG, but the MG is pretty much up there as well, because if I'm not mistaken, the MG in this game is considered the Emil. Now, the M16. Now, this weapon right here is really great, because if somebody has the EMP-63s, and if y'all need something a little bit more damage dealing, this gun definitely comes in clutch for that. So attachments wise, you got the mill stop reflex sight, good scope for sure for that one. The infantry compensator, the 20.5 task force, the SWAT MW5 laser sight, bruiser grip, Salvo 54 R&D, SASR jungle grip, and the SAS combat stock. Now, just a little note, if you don't have some of these attachments, my recommendation is try to find attachments that has a similar status to these ones, because they are good substitutes in case you don't have the best ones recommended for this one. There we have the street sweeper. Pretty much the same thing. I believe the magazine actually helps this one, other than the reload. Yeah, so note to say, if you ever use this shotgun, make sure you have the speed cola perk with you, because the reload by itself is just drastic. And then make sure this is pack a punch too, because by itself just does not help. But yeah, speed cola helps this a lot, and then pack a punch makes this even faster, because I believe pack a punching, the weapon, the reload is almost even more instantaneously some sort. I believe this is the Gora or the Groza. Yeah, the Groza. This is the Groza. This is overall for such pretty good. We got the what's this? Serpensens? Serpensens. I don't know how you say this. Compensator. The 60.5 CMV mil spec. The GRU 5 MW laser sight. Booster grip. VDV 50 R&D fast mags. GRU elastic wrap. And then the KGB pad. Now, this is a weapon I was working on, but this is not a top 10 weapon, but it's a viable weapon to say the least. I'm just working on the hammer, so this is not even a top 10. The M79 is one of the best weapons in the game, with Ring of Fire and PhD slider. This one doesn't have any attachments, but you can give it a camera look. And then the Farah is also really great. So Diamondback reflex is really great. The Mosa Break 5.56, the 18.7 how can I say that? Set, whatever you want to call it. Let's just call it the RPK barrel. The GRU 5MW, Bruiser, VDV, Serpent, Raider. And then the Tech 9. Now, I don't have all the best attachments for this, but full auto repair is a lifesaver for this weapon. Because it's a single auto for this weapon. So you have to like tap the trigger like crazy to make this more efficiently, but add attachments and some really good ones, do some wonders. Now, I put in the 7.3 reinforced heavy because it's the closest one to me for the 8.1 task force, which is one I don't have, but this will make the gun even better. For the laser sight, this is actually pretty great. This is actually the best laser sight for this one. Underbarrel is pretty much the bruiser grip, of course. Yeah, now this is the only other one. Technically, the Salvo 33 is supposed to be the better version of this, but The 27 R&D is also a good substitute. Other than that, the separate rep and the SAS is also great where they are. You don't really need the last two, but getting the last two will probably be beneficial just in case. You don't really need a sight for this one. Now, for one more other weapon, if I was to say substitute for one of these, I'll probably substitute the hammer and give it the OTS S9 because I actually heard this is actually pretty good against zombies, and it's one of the good SMGs. Sadly, I don't have this one, but it's definitely worth getting. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. You just need to grind a lot to get these upgrades. Also, based on these field upgrades, Ring of Fire, Healing Aura, and Ether Shroud are going to be your best friends. Ether Shroud is really good for solo runs, especially speed runs. This is the best like team-based one. And then Ring of Fire is pretty much well versed in both areas. You could do solos or team-based, which increase the damage for anybody that's in the ring. Oh, excuse me. Tulsa's growth is actually not bad, especially if you camp in certain areas. And I guess Tesla Star can come in clutch in some areas. Freezer Guard is actually pretty good for Outbreak if you're running with teams, but by yourself, yeah, but by yourself, it's not really much use. Perks go for what you know. Usually, Jug, Speed Cola, and Stamina are like the go-tos. Dead Shot is actually pretty great on this one. And then everything else is pretty much a standard pick. Now for ammo mods, Brain Rot and Shatter Blast are like the best two. Then Napalm, and then I guess it's a tie between Cryo and Deadwire for last. But Deadwire is really good against the Megatons though, and a few others. But Brain Rot and Scatter Blast are like good for everything else, and Napalm is like good for the armorer and zombies such as the Manglers. And that is my Cold Wars video.